was hoping for a break in the traffic, but I don't know if it's going to happen today. This is an Oliver 1650. It's kind of like an old Harley Davidson. If there's no oil under it, it's because there's no oil in it. But recently there's been a lot more oil under it than usual. And now the loader is really slow and it doesn't want to raise above a certain point. So I suspect that's because there's no oil in it. Anyway, let's pull it inside and we're going to fix all the oil leaks. These 1650s have the world's slowest hydraulics, but they're not normally this slow. So the big problem here is the left side tilt cylinder. We blew the gland seal out of that. The other big leaker is the couplings here. These Pioneer quick disconnect fittings for the hydraulic hoses, they leak pretty bad on both sides. Thing's got a ton of couplings on it. There's four in the rear, 2 on either side, and then 4 in the front. So there's lots of places for it to leak. Yeah, something's also leaking up here on this valve block. I think it's this hose right here. So we'll probably have to replace that. I bought 2 tilt cylinder rebuild kits and 4 of these 1/2-inch Pioneer quick disconnects. I tried previously just replacing this O-ring and I still couldn't get them to seal, so we're going to go ahead and replace the entire coupling set. They're not that expensive, and I bought all this stuff from a company called Baum Hydraulics. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. They're just a good company. They're out of Omaha, Nebraska. They'll sell it to anybody. They carry a huge variety of hydraulic parts for industrial and agricultural applications. Why so sad, pup? Alright, I pulled the hoses off, let those drain while we ate lunch. Now we can go ahead and pull that cylinder apart. It's going to make a mess no matter what we do. My personal preference is just to leave the cylinder mounted to the whatever it's attached to, because once you take them loose, they're kind of unwieldy. The pistons or the ram is bent. Well, no wonder it was leaking. The ram's bent pretty substantially too. Well, okay. We're gonna have to fix that too. Piece of cake. Apers. Before we get too carried away replacing seals, we better see if we can straighten this rod. I imagine the banana shape is causing most of our problems. This rod's pretty beat up already, but I don't want to make it any worse. Well, these are just old welding gloves. I saved the cuffs off of them. The fingers are always what wears out. So I saved the cuffs, and then when I'm TIG welding, I can use it like a, what does Jody call it? A TIG finger or whatever? Anyway. Alright guys, I'm happy with that. It's not perfect. There's a little high spot here and a bit of a low spot here. But beggars can't be choosers. I think it's best just to leave it alone. In my experience, when you're doing press straightening, you can get in a lot of trouble when you try to go backwards. So if you press it too far, then you try to back up, usually just a small amount of pressing will bend it right back to where it was. And you know, we don't have any way to really stress relieve this part. The best thing to do, I guess, would be to run it through a stress relieving heat cycle, but that's not really practical. So we're just gonna quit while we're ahead. I've got the oil heating up here. We're gonna use that to heat up these backup rings, because those can be a real bear to stretch over top of the piston. And then, yeah, we should be ready to put it back together. Oh, it's hot. It's hot, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. One small difference. There's 3 backup rings in the new kit where there was only 2 before, but the 2 in the old kit are thicker, so I think we have to use all 3 of these, so we have to double them up on one side, which, you know, that's no problem. Then this piston actually has cast iron rings, just like an engine. Which is kind of unique. Okay, that's done.
I don't spell my name.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know how to spell my name.
Well, that seems like a problem, doesn't it?
But I know how to make an L.
All right, now the fun part. Got to stuff this back into the barrel. The snap ring is, well, it sucks. Just no other way around it. There's not enough room to get a regular snap ring plier in there. Well, the cylinder's done, but I see another problem. This lower pivot pin's also bent up like a banana, so something pretty bad must have happened on this side of the loader. That's also not the original pin, that's just a hitch pin. So I think we'll get that out of there and see if we can replace it. I'm gonna get a face full of loader when I pull this out. Morning. I decided to pick up some new hoses. 2 of them have already been replaced, but these 2 are looking pretty shoddy. So the jacket's coming apart on both of them, and one of them was leaking pretty bad. So toss those in the scrap pile. I decided to go with these pre-made hoses. They're cheaper, more convenient, and supposedly assembled in the USA. Then I pulled these fittings out. I wanted to retape the threads. They're kind of like a flare fitting. So this is a swivel coupling with a flare on the inside, and then the pipe thread here can work as a pipe thread, and it also has a tapered seat there to attach to the flare. So yeah, they work okay. So I don't actually know if the problem was the pin was bent or the bracket was bent, or if it happened simultaneously, but the sides of this thing are definitely splayed out. I think should be able to just maybe unclip it. That's certainly an improvement. I went ahead and made a new pin, and it does fit, but these holes are kind of worn out, egged out from the old banana-shaped pin. So it's not perfect, but it's good enough for what it is. And there's a lot of contention about what steel to use for these pins. Some people say mild steel, some people say high-strength steel. So what I always do is use adamantium. It's kind of tough to drill, but you'll never break it. All right, the last thing I want to do before we put this back together, there's no grease zerk in the tilt cylinder rod, so we're just going to drill and tap it for one of these little guys. Takes a 1/4 28 straight thread, which requires a number 3 drill. There's the heat. Never fails. Ever. Beautiful. Well, I'm changing my mind again. I'm actually going to eliminate these couplings entirely. There's no technical reason why they even need to be on the tractor. there's a bracket here that actually holds these two quick disconnects. We call them remotes. That's the original location for them. There's one on either side. And that was used for a cultivator or some kind of a middle mounted implement. But when the loader was put on the tractor, they added these short jumper hoses and moved the couplings up here. And that's just so that it makes it easier to remove the loader from the tractor. This is a quick attach loader, or quick attach. So you loosen the coupling up here, and then this mouth shape here slides off of the bracket, and you can actually remove this loader from the tractor pretty quickly, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. But what I'm getting at is we can leave these 4 remotes right here and run a line all the way back to the valve body and eliminate those quick disconnects right there. I mean, I don't have any other implements for the tractor or any reason to ever use those, so we might as well simplify things and just get rid of them. It works. I'm just color coding these hoses so I don't get them mixed up. Really? Really? That's how you want to play it? This is what I hate about working on hydraulics. There's never a time where it just stops dripping. Anyway, we're going to replace this chewed up, leaking mess of a hose with this brand new one. That's what I thought. Just gonna round it off. I don't know if you want to play that way. Well, We're halfway done. Look at the mess. This is why I never wanted to work on heavy equipment. I mean, I replaced 2 hydraulic hoses, and it looks like somebody laid open the Exxon Valdez. It's going to take me twice as long to clean the floor as it did to actually replace the hoses. Okay folks, I think we're about done. That pile of spaghetti there is the old hoses. Those can go in the trash. And I'll show you the new hoses. Got them all installed. Pretty self-explanatory. So they run from the valve block back there under the battery boxes. I reused these brackets here that held the couplings originally to hold some loom clamps. And then all of the hoses run directly up to that main coupler block for the loader. The opposite side hoses run over top of the bell housing, and then they're loomed up the same way on the other side, like so. Looks good. I'm happy with it. This is called a lock lube, by the way. It's a quick release grease gun fitting. I'll try to put a link in the description. It's pretty handy. I borrowed this idea from Just a Few Acres Farm. He borrowed it from somebody else. Works pretty good. I used a bungee cord instead of using twine, but I've got these nice big holes in the rim centers where the valve stems are, so works out pretty good for me. But yeah, that's a whole lot better than trying to, toss the chain up over the top and, making it into a two-man job. I like it. All right, folks, I think that's it. Still the world's slowest hydraulics, but it's a heck of a lot better than this. Now you're probably thinking, hey Wes, what about the oil leaks from the engine, the hydropower, the transmission, the PTO, the power steering? Yeah. I hear you. Would it kill you to make these a little easier to put together? Oh, there we go. Alright guys, thanks for watching. gonna stick these on the shelf, save them for later or for the inevitable estate sale. Also, I appreciate the help and feedback that I got in the last video with the cameras. This entire video was filmed on the Panasonic Lumix G85. I think that's the one we're going to go with. And thanks to you guys, I was able to figure out how to change the ISO settings to 1/3 stops. In the last video, I was trying to get fancy using the manual mode, and everything kept coming out underexposed or overexposed because I was trying to adjust the ISO in full stop increments, and it just was not working. So hopefully this video was better. Let me know what you guys think. It still seems like I'm a little bit overexposed. Sometimes it looks darker on the screen, the little LCD screen, than what it does on my computer when I'm editing. So I may have to mess with the brightness in my editor or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I recognize you guys don't come here for camera content. That's not why you're here. So I will not bore you with that again. Just wanted to say thanks.